But to start, the next couple of sessions are going to be based around disruption and innovation. So what does that mean? Well, look, there's been so much going on in the world around the digital revolution, but that's now fully fledged. Do we realise that Yahoo is 21 years old now? So Yahoo has suddenly become an adult. Google's going to turn 20 in 2 years' time. So the way that we consume digital data is amazing as well. We now consume as much data in one day globally as we did in the whole of the 80s. So technology has really allowed us to enable our businesses. So the next couple of sessions are going to focus in on that. I'd firstly like to introduce Ian from the Lausanne Hotel School. So Ian's going to give us some insight into trends, innovation, and some data points. So Ian, please join us now. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. Good morning. I have 15 minutes to give you a bit of a tech update. So my name is Ian Millar. I won't read out the rest. I officially have the longest title here at Griff. Want to go through and just give you some key points in terms of research we've done of industry innovation, some disruption, and obviously very technology focused. Want to have a quick look at what's been going on in terms of trends in the last 12 months. There is thankfully, there's been a big move towards cloud computing, and a lot of people have spoken about it, software as a service. So that is something moving and carrying on. That's really important moving forward. Social media, there's been a lot of talk about social media. Heard even the wording of social media challenges. I was recently speaking with the next student of mine who works at Philip Morris. We want to talk about social media challenge. They have 99% of their comments on Twitter are negative. So we want to talk about challenge and how to deal with that. I think we're actually quite lucky, but that might be a point come up afterwards. Definitely the use of mobile, increasing trend. And system integration that's really been the Achilles heel of technology in our industry is getting better, but still needs to improve. I will not read out all these figures. A lot of people talk about, apps. Only 1% of the market has moved to apps. A lot of it happening in the startup area. But the tech industry for food related is big. And there's many, many people doing many, many things, which actually makes a very fragmented market. Big data. Everybody throws this phrase around about big data. I'm not going to read out the quote, I'll let you read that. We are definitely in an industry that is far away from big data. Because we're still very much of an analog industry. So it's only really the real new tech guys that can truly do big data, but that will be a discussion point coming up. Because if we take, I'm not maybe saying, you guys do sort of the more sort of chained restaurant. This is a photo I took, yes, in Switzerland, January 2016, in a little restaurant near where I live. And this is actually very representative of many people in the industry, who've been around for a while. Marketing comm department is the phone. Big data business intelligence is an old analog till. They're still using a calculator. And then they still have the book, and that's the CRM. That is very much a reality in many, many countries and in many operations. And yet we're throwing around big data and this. Well, that's what's happening daily. So we have challenges in the industry. All the new startups coming around. This famous expression, the famous unicorns, when you're a startup and you get the billion, dollar valuation. It's just gone crazy, the amount of startups who are having money thrown at them. One of the early ones, it was Dropbox. I don't know if you're a big Dropbox user. They were one of the very early ones who got the billion. And it's been a process they've been going through and changing. Early 2010, they had 4 million users. 1 year later, 45 million users. Any idea what made that happen? What technology occurrence happened that made it jump from 4 to 45 million in 1 year? This is a bit like class, so you can interact here. Sorry? Cloud was already going, so it wasn't the cloud. It was one particular thing. It was the iPad. April 2010, iPad comes out. People suddenly had a device that meant, oh, I need my data on multiple devices. And then, of course, that just exploded and everyone else followed. So the technology will then determine how we behave with our data. And we are fundamentally today, we are addicted. People have technology addiction, and it is bad. 2/3 of people can't live without their smartphone. TV addiction, technology addiction. And this is what the point I'm making about this is, this is talking about us as people, us as operators, but also our consumers. We have different kinds of addiction, maybe addiction to Windows, maybe slightly less, but definitely for the Apple products and other things. So it's the people and how we behave and we do our daily things. Because everyone throws around this phrase, these are your future customers, the technology savvy customer. With all due respect to people who say that, I fundamentally disagree with this point. These people, the younger generation, they're not technology savvy, they're technology dependent. It is a completely different concept. They haven't got a clue how this works. They don't understand technology. I'm going to embarrass 2 of the Emirates students who I was talking to earlier. And I was saying to how's the school, and a young lady, I've forgotten her name, but I'll get it back in a second, said, oh yeah, we have wireless, and they put a thingamajig in my room. So you mean a wireless access point? So a thingamajig is a technology phrase for these people. Okay, so it's about this dependency. There we see the 3 biggest fears. Why this is important is because technology is ingrained in the younger people. May I give an example? My daughter is 14, so obviously a typical teenager. We recently had a bit of a bad daddy-daughter day. She needed punishing. So I thought, I could turn off the internet. I thought, that's not good enough. Best way to punish a teenager, leave the internet on, change the password. Trust me, it works. People throw around the phrase, online equals oxygen. These people have to be ultra connected. And that, the point comes, the reality of it. I saw that one, I liked that one. I saw another funny one that said Instagrammers eating cold food since 2010. But it's about how we behave with technology in our lives. This process was actually analyzed by a restaurant in New York who looked at what happened in 2015 when people came to eat. People would arrive, they'd sit down, get the menu, order, eat, have a coffee, and pay. Simple process, 1 hour. We look what happens today when we go out to eat. The people arrive, we sit down, get our phones out, do whatever it is on our phone, get the menu, try and connect to the Wi-Fi, order, eat, take a picture, share it on social media, complain the food's cold, send it back, have the food reheated, ask the waiter to take our group picture, have a coffee, and pay. The restaurant actually analyzed the security cameras, and they looked at that as a process, and now it's 1 hour 55. Because we're using technology constantly. And this is important, we've spoken a lot about, I heard the last few days about your concepts and about the food and about this and design. Technology has to start becoming integrated into what you do in terms of your restaurants moving forward in the future. So let's look just a little bit more about the consumer and about how they're enswathed in this technology usage. We look at maybe just some key things or some examples of future tech coming up. A lot of talk about wearables. Not yet sure where that will go. Will we get to a point where the wearable technology will interact with the restaurant in terms of what the guests can eat or not? Yes, we will get there. Will it be immediately? No. That could also come down for payments, etc. But there will be at some point an integration between your business and the consumer's wearable devices. That one's going to be coming. Robotics. A lot of people have been talking about this. I actually fundamentally believe that robotics will come into the industry. It's a question of simple economics. And economics always wins. Where I don't agree with a lot of people, they say, oh, robots serving food. Robots and robotics will have success back of house in terms of automation and not front of house. That will be the logical starting point. I like the example I was reading this the other day, Paco Perez. Creativity is shaped by what technology can do. I think that's very, very true. And as we move forward, we can be more creative using the technology and the tools that we have. 3D printed food. This one is going to be happening. You can do it already. The technology will evolve. And instead of having a chef manually or chefs doing the food, you can print it. You're having a banquet, 200 people, you can print the food, or at least part of it. Efficiency, cost effectiveness, speed, accuracy. There are many, many things you can do with different technologies. Other forms in terms of concepts around, what I like to call the DIY club. It's very much, I'm a big believer in giving people choice. A couple of interesting concepts. Eatsa is out in the USA, where a lot of this stuff starts. No staff. Sorry, there's one member of staff there. You order on an iPad in the restaurant, and then your food gets delivered to a little cubby hole. You pick it up, you leave, you sit down, you eat. There's no staff interaction. Okay, and I'm fine with that. They've built the concept around that, and that's perfectly fine. Lunchio, this is a startup in Berlin. Your 4 people want to go out for a corporate lunch, so very much the corporate lunchtime. You can order online, place your order in this restaurant, 12:30, I'm going to eat this. You pay before, and you literally turn up, sit down, eat, and leave. For corporate people, lunchtime pressured, okay, that's great. It's an option, it's a choice. Is that for everybody? No. And this is where I think where technology is great if we get it right, is by giving consumers choice. This is a video for language in French, but you get the idea.
Vous avez déjà fait le Duncan?
A little bit louder, please, on the video.
Préparez commande Bordeaux.
Préparez commande Bordeaux.
Préparez commande Bordeaux.
Tous les jouets filles, tous les jouets garçons. Nappy Meal Nuggets frites.
Tous les petits jus, tous les Big Mac. Un petit light sans glace.
You might recognize the restaurant. This is live today. They're using voice recognition for order preparation. They are now processing, because of this, they're processing 40 cars every 15 minutes. That's 40 cars every 15 minutes. They've gone from error reduction, 70% reduction in errors in food going out. You then recalculate that in terms of increased revenue, efficiency, etc. That restaurant chain think this will save them 3 million euros a year. And that is live right now. Voice recognition being used in order preparation. There's many things out there that we can do. For that, with my 3.5 minutes left, as I said earlier, you're great restaurateurs. We've seen the passion up here about your concepts and you believe what you do. For me, there's one final way to move forward is a change in the mindset. The people are important, the food is important, the concept's important, well, so is the technology. The technology will enable your business, it can make or break your business. And it's got to have that, in a way, geeky mindset in. Everything we do is going to be technology based. I see a lot of people when they come up, they make the concept and they do everything, and then right at the end, oh, we need some technology. The technology has to come there as a foundation of the business moving forward. 100% of your financial transactions run over technology. And we do restaurants fundamentally to make money. So it's getting this mindset in of the importance of technology. And everything else is important as well, but there's that. If I was to get another message away why this is important, the future is this. Everything will go mobile. Cost effectiveness, it just fits our industry as well. And in moving forward with a mindset is to completely look at everything in your operations, front and back, customer facing, mobile based. That's just a simple way the future is going to be going. I love that quote, it is a remote control of our lives. I had a quick drink with an ex-student last night. I had 5% battery. I was saying be in this place at this time, 4%. So we were actually doing a countdown until my phone was going to run out of battery, just in case we couldn't confirm. We do everything through our phones, and that will only get worse. So we have to look at that. Digital online ordering, 300% growth. This one I find incredible. I actually quite like it. Domino's. We don't see ourselves as a pizza company. We're a technology company that sells pizza. When you're talking about mindset, that isn't really, for me, an interesting way to go forward. The technology will drive the business. Lots of reasons why. These are going to be the discussion points in the panel afterwards. Full integration, automation. We can personalize when we get there. So lots of reasons why it's important to get this mindset in. You're not just restaurateurs, you are technology providers as well. Look at the guys who got this right. Starbucks. 16% of in-app purchases are done through the app. Starbucks is a technology company that sells coffee. That is the most logical way to look at them. They give you wireless wiring charge, 7 million in-store transactions through its mobile app. Loyalty reward members, 3 times the spend as non-members. That is all technology enabled. And that's the mindset they've taken forward, and it works for them. Google Mobile. What percentage of search happens on mobile for restaurants, pubs, and bars? It's 50%. Are you findable on mobile? Week before Valentine's Day, mobile restaurant search increased by 359%. Flowers, 227. Probably 100% men, because we just forgot to get ready for that whole event. But it's important taking a mobile strategy forward. Can your guests on mobile get your menu? Can they click to call? Not just get your phone number, click to call, GPS location, opening hours. Can they reserve? It's about this pre-mobile experience. It's so, so important. Mobile-friendly website. It's getting this mobile strategy going. Are you findable on all the different applications that people use? Like here, 10 million people use this application. One of the most popular because you can use it offline. If it's a tourist, can find information. Are you listed? Are you findable? It is so important nowadays. We're going to discuss this afterwards. Mobile payment, it's had a bit of a trippy, difficult start. It's on its way. It's going to go mainstream in all the different forms. Get ready for mobile payment. Simple reason why. There are more phones on the planet, and they reproduce 5 times faster than us. Everything will be going and moving mobile. If I was to say one thing now moving forward, it's a mobile strategy. Thank you. That was 34 slides, 15 minutes. Jonathan, it's your conference. You can raise your hand. It's okay.
You said this was sort of a classroom, situation. Ian, as a professor of one of the leading hospitality school in the world, of course, because I know a couple of our children in this audience have graduated and been through this excellent faculty. What is education doing? What is EHL doing to graduate and changing the mindset in terms of education at the moment?
I mean, everything we do, when we deliver the courses, everything now is technology based. I mean, everything is done through laptop. We have our own online platforms. We're pretty paperless now. We always have digital classes. We are now moving forward to doing digital courses online. We're going to be doing MOOCs very soon for hospitality. We're going to still do the traditional normal classes. We're making our classrooms a lot more interactive. Whiteboards, touchscreen. So it's basically giving a digital touch to the education we give. But it still won't replace teachers and that student interaction. That's called saving your job. But that's important as well. But it's giving the sort of the digital learning experience, and it's about making the tools available as well. And I can't say how much, but we've done a big investment into infrastructure. Well over £1 million Swiss francs just in fiber optic cabling on campus, because everything relies on that. And if you don't have the infrastructure in, everything else afterwards you want to do just will never work.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Thanks, Ian. Take a seat. Fascinating, some great data takeouts from that. So this next session is called a digital dine out. And we're going to invite Emmanuel Clavé from XN Protel Systems, which is a hotel system solution business. Emmanuel was ex-CIO of Roccaforte Hotels for 12 years.
Hello there, how are you?
Welcome. And also we've got Joe Steele from Bookatable, a Michelin group company. Joe's transacts, was it 3 million transactions a month now? Reservations or covers?
Over 3.5 million dining cover classes.
Wow, and 15,000 customers partners?
15,000 restaurants use our technology, and including some customers here.
Real scale. So good to meet you.
Thank you, Duncan.
Thank you. Thank you. So in this session, I really want to sort of take a deep dive as quickly as we can, because there's so many aspects to the digital landscape. But I guess the customer journey, there is so many touch points now in terms of what technology facilitates, how they transact with us as operators and owners and technology providers. So I really want to sort of look at those various steps, and I think there's sort of 4 or 5 which we've identified. So as a starting point, it's the whole digital distribution component. So how we acquire those customers, where they come, where they transact. And as a starting point, Joe, if that's okay, you've got great insight into people coming into the top part of the funnel. Where's the trends? Where's the access point going at the moment? So,
absolutely. So our software helps restaurants both with diners who book through the phone, as well as those who walk into the restaurant, as well as those that make online reservations. And the online reservation piece is the trend that we see growing significantly. Across Europe, the statistic is around 20% of reservations are made online today. Those online channels, those distribution outlets, and how those diners arrive at the venue come through all of those channels that you'd anticipate a consumer, a diner, to think through as they go about making that decision on a dining out experience. So we've seen mobile become over half of our channels, of the traffic that now comes through on the reservations. We see all the classic channels around search, increase in social media, CRM, email marketing, and then applications, native technologies, all which ultimately allow a more intimate experience between the restaurant and the diner.
okay. And then, Ian, you touched on it in your previous slides around Google last week launched Google Destinations, the geolocation, the geo-targeting of consumers, and the search experience. Just expand on your slide here as the technology app. How's that changed in terms of sort of the geolocation targeting?
Yeah, I mean, before, it's very much we had, when we did travel around, we might have had a TomTom stuck in the car, and then we stick it out there and go somewhere, but you look at actually when people search and their habits, you've probably been told this, you're not on the first page of Google, you're not going to be found, people go away. You list on Google Business, so at least you appear on the right-hand side. People are very fickle now when they search, and it's not even very easily and readily available. They'll go somewhere else, but they'll also look at other platforms. They'll look on Facebook, they'll look on TripAdvisor, they'll look on Instagram. I saw a great stat on Instagram. Hashtag food porn has 1 post per second. There's a whole foodie people who follow that particular hashtag.
I think personally, Instagram, so Facebook acquired Instagram for $1 billion. No revenue stream. In December last year, Facebook put 75% of their advertising technology into Instagram. It's the fastest growing social network in the world. And I think you will see that $1 billion investment will be a very wise, smart move for Facebook. 75% of their monetization technology is now in Instagram. So that's definitely the trend that I can see. And I guess if we talk about Instagram, taking the pictures of your food, multi-device apps. Emmanuel, what have you seen as the demand? I mean, obviously a technologist in the hotel space for 12 years gives you a good grounding to see what the trends are like. How's multi-device and technology changed in that sense?
I think for the mobile device, you need to look first to make sure it's integrated to your local system, because if you provide a mobile device which is not live with anything you have, it's just a waste of time. And then when you look at the mobile, there's different aspects of the usage. I think you've got 2 main categories. You've got your staff mobile app, which is going to be used to increase your productivity and efficiency within your business. And then you got another guest-facing app. And within that, there's different sector, different segment that you're going to have. You've got on the restaurant business what I will call the one-to-one ordering device for in-home dining, takeaway, dining out, where a guest can be ordered their food delivered to a location. And then you've got the multiple devices for one order for the restaurant tabs. You've got an electronic menu where the guest can order. And again, everything needs to be integrated and linked to your main systems. Otherwise, there's no real benefit on there.
But it's quite difficult these days to sort of track a single user, because they could be at their office on their laptop or their desktop. They could be at home on their iPad or on their train or commuting with their mobile phone. In terms of sort of tracking loyalty via these multi-devices, and I guess loyalty now is sort of the key in terms of getting good acquisition costs. How do you handle sort of kind of multi-device and then into loyalty? Because that's quite a difficult thing to track, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the data volumes are phenomenal. So we mentioned around the 3.5 million diners that came through online reservations last month through our platform. There is then a volume greater than that which have actually come into the system through what we call internal, those that have come in through phone bookings or walk-ins. So that as a repository of data is enormous. Of course, there's more known about the individual the sort of lead in the party who made the reservation versus the rest of the dining party. But how the reporting, the way in which all of that data can be then analyzed, we then help the restaurants, whether that be a single site or multi-site, in how they go about targeting and ultimately developing that loyalty to that diner and members in that dining party to return to the venue.
Because it's difficult, because Ian, your picture of January of this year in the Swiss hotel where you pointed out their CRM was a book and their finance department was a calculator. We talk about big data. Are we able to cope with big data as an industry, as a sector? I mean, your photo clearly shows not, where obviously Joe's got it at a scale. What trends are you seeing when you analyse the market? What trends are you seeing in terms of data adoption or use of data?
I mean, without sounding negative, I think if you say the industry as a whole, are we really doing big data? I'd say no. Are there people who can do it? Yes. But it's also, understanding the makeup of the industry. I'm going to give the example. In Germany, there are 19,500 pizza restaurants. There are 19,000 who are independent. And in those 19,000, you've probably got 500 to 600 different point-of-sale systems, reservation systems, and you just can't do big data when the technology fragmentation used by the industry is there. Could now some more of the groups and the chains who are getting to a more standardized technology product with technology standards for interfacing, and that's when you can start grouping and warehousing your data, then yes. But it's going to be the big players who have the advantage to do it. Now the question is, will they invest and will they actually do it properly?
I guess with sort of software as a service, and Dropbox is a great example. Dropbox for a corporate business would be fantastic. There's an individual transferring data and files. Emmanuel, how do you sort of service the long tail? So the 19,000 pizzerias in Germany, or 19,500, how can technology sort of facilitate or provision this data for the
It's all about
restaurant
integration. If your system don't talk to each other, and if you don't have an aggregator, because if you take in a restaurant, you've got your table management system that holds a set of data, you've got a point of sales that and another, and then you need something in between that, 20 years ago that was a head waiter, that was your CRM, big data analyst. Now it is the technology, and you need that part in the middle, and you need to select, systems that will work and integrate with each other. Talking about location, you can have fun now with technology and also increase your business with iBeacon technology, so you can use that to actually track. Track is the wrong word because it's like Big Brother, but enable some communication to your guests by the location in your property, in your restaurant, in your resort, depending when they are, and then your native app will be triggered by the positioning of the guest in that property. So you can actually track the journey even within your restaurant, your outlets, or when they're coming nearby. Use that much finer detail than just by GPRS, which is broader as far as location.
Moving back to loyalty and data, and the observation that I get from the industry, the European industry, is that we've obviously got WhatsApp, we've got instant messenger, we've got different ways of communicating and interacting with people, but email as an asset still seems to be king. You can do all of this search engine marketing, you can do all of this content marketing, but the real asset still seems to be the ability to email someone an offer or interact with them. So I guess Ian or Joe, is that true, that statement? Because in the future they're talking people won't have email, but if it's still the biggest asset for an owner operator.
Yeah, so we have a database of over 5 million diners, and it's their email address is the definition of that opted-in user. And we find what we do to help the restaurant is to curate promotions, curate dining experiences at shoulder times when otherwise the restaurants are struggling to fill, to hit their yield requirements. And so we find that email channel is a really effective way in which to engage. We have open rates constantly at least 20% around those different promotions. So it is very relevant for us still, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree on that one. I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, our email used to be our unique identifier. If I'm going to stick on this mobile trend that I firmly believe in, it's your mobile number that is now another unique identifier. It's especially the younger people of today, and this is way too far, the 14, 15, 16-year-olds don't really use email. You can Snapchat them, you can send them a WhatsApp, but they wouldn't want to receive information via email because the majority simply don't use it. So it's about having different of targeting your audience. Joe's right, people will want email marketing information. Some people want it direct through the app, through push messaging, whatever it is. We need to start exploring different channels because our consumers are using the technology differently.
So that's the next phase then. We used to do direct marketing through your letterbox, then it was email marketing. I mean, my own personal email account, outside of my corporate one, I probably filtered it down to about 12 different subscription emails. Everything else I just dismiss or I just unsubscribe. But you're saying direct message, Snapchat, that's the direct channel now. That's almost the new direct marketing.
If you work on mobile app as well, you can actually use that channel to send the communication directly to the app. So, with the email, and it's still, probably the biggest method, but you've got the risk of spam and not being read, or especially if you send the email at the wrong time of the day when people are not going through the emails. And with the notification on the app, you can send a similar marketing and maybe to find more tuning to the specific clients who has an app, who are your regular customers because they keep the app with yourself. So you can target them more precisely as well.
And so just to lead into, sorry, Joe.
Could I just add one final point? Related to Ian's presentation on payments are yet to really sort of take on as a concept for the diner. We've tried iBeacon technology in partnership with Amex over a year ago, and it's still yet to really take on, but ultimately these technologies will become more and more mainstream in the future.
And I guess there's two components to that. So thanks. On the payment side of things, ordering, paying, even though you've got someone serving you, and your example with the hatches where you just literally there's one person in the restaurant, sort of contactless payments, obviously they're big in the UK now, replacing your Oyster card on the underground, etc. Where do you see, how far away are we from contactless or app payments where it becomes the norm?
I think it depends on the banks mainly. If you take UK, contactless, you're limited, at least in the UK, to £30 transaction. So in most of the restaurants, or the hotel industry, well, £30 don't get you very far. That's for sure. So, and then you got the Apple Pay. Then your barrier is then up. So there's no problem on there. So I think it's all driven by the bank and by the country whereby they enable or don't enable the contactless payment. But once you use it, it's actually very useful.
And
it's
from
practical.
A customer relation management perspective, you're capturing more insight into that user because you're doing a transaction where you can type back to an app, a device, an email address, or a mobile phone number. Sort of tracking that customer, and just there are two more points I want to cover off. The second one is reputation management, user reviews. Obviously, it's a big thing, TripAdvisor being at the top of that. But again, how just quickly between individually, where do you see user reviews, reputation management going? Because it's such an influencer these days and can be exploited in some respects.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've partnered actually with a specialist to help aggregate a 360-degree view of all these different channels around where consumers are discussing the reputation of a restaurant. And we have to help them as a key service to our customers. It is an increasing trend. And I think user reviews, I would add to the role of user reviews, the role of expert-generated content, be that sort of expert editorial, but also really interesting, the owner sort of generated content. So how can menus, how can the daily activity within the restaurant be actually shared and distributed as a window through to then enticing more diners to the restaurant.
And I guess as a concept, that's effectively the new buzzword, which is really just now coming through, is content marketing.
Yeah.
So really using your own assets, using your own staff to portray the message, the experience, rather than paying a search engine like Google to acquire that customer. That's
Yep.
What you could do as well with by integration is you get your point of sale to trigger a message to your native mobile app. As soon as the guest has consumed and paid, you know the guest being in your property. You can trigger a message to say, you've dined with us, would you like to fill up a survey, and then go through or a survey or go through TripAdvisor, whichever, but you would know at least that the consumer actually was in your property. So again, you can play with a lot of things with today's technology.
I think that's quite key. That post-consumption review where you can validate it's a real user is absolutely key, because otherwise it's open to the world. So look, we're just coming up on time now, but what I'd like to do, because I'd like to see if there's some questions from the floor as well, but I'd like to just get individually future trends. So what's on the product roadmap for 2017, 2018? Obviously conscious with Joe, you may not want to disclose too much, but really as a headline, individually, what are you seeing as the demands or what would be out there for 2017 and beyond? Starting with Joe, I guess. Okay,
sure. So, well, it's exciting times for us because we've just been acquired by Michelin Group in January. So, and also exciting because they've agreed to a multi-million investment around the technology. So I think the roadmap and what we deliver in a year and two from now, I expect ultimately to be about how are we helping to make that relationship between restaurant and diner more and more intimate. So the role of data, the role of connecting up, be it data around the diner through how they've made a reservation, be it data around the payment, connecting that together, ultimately that marketplace capability. And as I said at the start, this is a market where only 20% of reservations across Europe as a whole are made online today. That's going to catch up with online travel. And so the scope for existing restaurants who take online reservations and all those unaddressed restaurants looking at the capability of online reservations, there's a big opportunity here.
Great.
2 words, mobility and integration. This is
That one I completely agree with. If I want to say maybe 2017, hire a geek. Use consultants, use great chefs. You need to get a geeky person in, because based upon this and the mobility and the integration, you're going to need somebody within your team who can actually do this and make that stuff happen. So,
got it. Great. Well, thank you. Look, any questions from the floor? So we've got quite a few hands, actually. Let's take the first hand I saw.
Hi, thank you. I found that really interesting. Firstly, I just wanted to pick up, I don't know if any of you noted that today Toast in the UK became the first UK restaurant to go contactless in their London sites. So it's cashless completely and it's only contactless. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that progresses. But really interested to pick up on the data warehousing piece and the kind of integration, because it's an area that I have a lot of conversations with clients on. And one of the challenges I think I find is that the infrastructure and the technology is actually there with most of the large groups. There's data warehousing in place. But people across the organization, beyond the CTO, IT director, and perhaps the finance team, just don't know it's there. And I think the question really is around who owns the customer experience, because as someone that works as a brand marketer, I believe that it's marketing who own the customer experience in its entirety, and actually technology-related elements should be driven by marketing, not CTOs. But I'd like to get your take on that.
I mean, I'll just quickly add one comment to that. I did this report via our Travolution brand, and the shift in ownership of IT budgets to marketeers, the actual tipping points happen. So in the UK, 58% of IT budgets effectively are directed by the marketing director. That's the right thing. Sorry to cut across, but that was the tipping point last year. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
As an ex-CIO, you have to see that IT is an enabling facility to actually get what you want, and they need to work in conjunction with, in case of the data warehouse, the marketing department, to actually build the marketing, the warehouse, and the result that the marketing want to achieve. did that in RFH. But we had all the systems that were there, different data sources, but no way to aggregate everything. So we built a warehouse, and then with the marketing team, define what do you want, and then build slowly, gradually, your reporting, your schedule of communication to the guest. And it's not something you will do in 1 month. It's a journey that you need to look at, start. What do you have system? What outcome do you want to have? And where do you want to end up with your system? And you need investment because, unfortunately, there's some cash element that's required to do it correctly.
I'm just conscious of time, so I'm going to go for that hand. But we can have some follow-up questions in the lunch break, but we'll just go for one more question, so I'm conscious of time. Thank you.
Quick questions. One, we talked about 68% of operators are single units. And when you talk about this integration of cross-mobility, etc., on reputational risk, are these units able to have a negative campaign on Instagram and manage that? Number one. Number two, isn't this RFID and connectivity going to create customer apathy? When you're in a shopping mall these days, you get 25 messages and offers. By that time, you've lost your appetite to begin with. And last but not least, what are we doing with all of this time that we're saving?
So we'll do the bombarding for offers question, I guess, first of all. You've got 15,000 customers. How do they differentiate themselves or get that cut through? I guess that's what you were asking. And then we'll ask, I guess, Ian on what we gain back on the time, yeah?
So for the independent restaurant, helping to understand how they position themselves, how they curate the right menu experience, how they make themselves really visible online. It's that visibility point is generally what comes through. I mean, I think the repeat rate we see with the small independents, we can look at the data together with those restaurants, see the repeat frequency of diners who've had a good experience, that want to return, that find it very straightforward to book online again. Those are the channels that we see, but there's no single easy answer and solution to that.
I guess that's just the process of evolution. I mean, again, Facebook, most people now, most businesses are using it as their primary distribution point. When Google launched pay-per-click advertising 12, 15 years ago, it was big companies, and now it's small companies, mum and pops using it. So sadly, in my opinion, and again, I get to see this day in, day out, it's a process of evolution. I guess what they are able to do, it's much more rapid. They're learning, so Instagram, Twitter, just best practices. Where you thought it was a science to use Google pay-per-click, it's not now. Ian said it about you young people, they don't know what a wireless router is, they just know that they're connected to the internet. Again, people becoming marketeers via these social channels, it's just going to be more intuitive. That's my view on it. So Ian probably's got a view.
Yeah, I think your point is very valid. Is that the independent either doesn't have the competencies, the time, the resources to look after their reputation online, and I think that will be a side service that you just have to outsource and have someone protect you and do it for you. For the smaller mom and pop, I don't see any other way, and just purely down to your question of time, it does take time. People say, oh, set up a Facebook page, it's free, it's easy. It can't be free to do it, but then to manage the content and manage that relationship online takes time, money, and resources. So it's actually not free at all.
Okay, to end, so what are we going to do with our spare time? Now everything's automated and made easy?
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. Excellent. Well, thank you, Joe, Emmanuel, and Ian.